Stylized Fire VFX for Unity is a free asset pack that lets you create fire flames such as these ones that you can find in a lot of anime gacha type of games nowadays. I highly recommend that you use sunglasses to create effects with this asset because you want to protect your eyesight, right? So equip sunglasses and let's get right into the meat and bones on how everything is being put together here. So this is the demo scene, and in the demo scene you'll find the VFX game object, which is essentially a prefab containing all the different types of flames. This is just for demo purposes, but if you want to find the actual prefab that's right there, for example, the fire flames, you can click right there and open, click on the name, and you'll see that those are saved under flames, particles, and yeah, you'll see the different types of particles that there are. So you see that we've got some different options. This one, the one that's labeled once, will just play once instead of playing all the time. So if I spawn this one, you see that the flame appears, disappears, and then it's gone forever. This one, for example, is not doing that. This one is essentially playing once, okay, but then it plays again. So it's having that kind of like animation, but since it's going on and off all the time, it's like this looping thing right there, which is for demo purposes. So you can also use the infinite flame. So this flame won't turn off like ever. So you can just move it around, position it, maybe through the floor, something like that. You can also scale it however you want. So yeah, that's an infinite flame that you can place in the world anywhere you want. So yeah, that's pretty neat. And yeah, then there's the 02 variant of the flames, which is a variant from the first type of flame, but a bit more harsh, a bit more pronounced on the edges. And so we've got the radial variants right there. So you can see that there's the VFX game object and then the VFX radial game object. So if I focus on this one, you see that yeah, those are a different type of flames which are going in this radial fashion. That's another type of shader that I've developed. But yeah, you'll see the results that's giving. I really like the feeling of these ones, and this might have a bunch of uses such as like magical orbs or fireballs that you can spawn on your game and whatnot. But yeah, feel free to use those, maybe like portals even. So completely up to you. You'll see that in this case, you don't have the infinite or once versions right there, but it's super easy to do so. You can duplicate this, name this once, for example, then drag and drop into the scene, and you'll see that this is the radial fire. So now, if you access the flames prefab, like right here, you'll see that there's the particle system. You can disable the looping, and that's it. That's just a play once type of particle. It will only play once and then it's gone forever. So that's how you can create once variant there. You can click on overrides, apply all, and that will save those. So you can spawn those on the scene again, and you'll have those only playing once. And now if you want to create an infinite version, you can duplicate the once and set this to be infinite, like such. And then what you can do is access this one, like the particle system right here. And instead of having a lifetime like that, you can set this to a constant and set this to be infinity. So in this case, you'll need to disable some of the parameters right there at the custom data. The custom data is just a bunch of variables, a bunch of curves, and ways to animate the effect through the lifetime. So for this case, we want the erosion to be set to 0, because if we don't do that, well, we'll see just purely nothing, because everything will be eroded, as this is the frame that's being taken into account. And as for distortion goes, I can just drag this one here, so I'm getting the full distortion at all times, and there's that. You can also use the smoothness channels right there to switch the erosion smoothness and whatnot. You can see the effect that that's creating, and you can crank up the emission like so. You can reduce it to 0, so it's just purely black. But yeah, that's how you would create an infinite variant of any of the prefabs right there. You can tweak the curves right there to liking, you can crank up the intensities and whatnot, the randomness, and you can play with all the parameters to create your own custom flame. You can use the coloring right here also to change the colors, so kind of like tinting the base of the flame. As far as material goes, you have a bunch of options already available for you to tweak and play with, such as the Fresnel, camera offset, depth fade, lookup table, camera depth fade, distortions, masks, noises, and whatnot. So you'll find all of those available. It's really a pretty advanced shader that you're getting right here. All of those noises that are included, I've actually made those using Substance Designer. And if you want to know more about how to create textures for real-time VFX, I just created this course about Substance Designer for real-time VFX artists, in which you'll learn the whole totality of Substance Designer for real-time VFX. You'll be creating textures for specific real use cases, and you'll learn by practicing. And the project also includes a bunch of different examples that you'll be able to use for your portfolio. So feel free to check that out. I'll leave the link in the description. Yeah, check this one out. I really like the blood effect that we've created right there. With the overall scale, you'll be able to kind of scale like the breaking down of the flames. So you can crank that up to 2 maybe, and so it's more detailed. With the speed, you'll make so the flames are slower. So if I set this overall scale like that and set the speed lower, you'll see that right now this is more like a candle or a torch type of effect. Same goes for the noise style vertical and horizontal. So you'll be giving more or less detail on those separate axes. Enabling the random rotation, this needs to be set either to 0 or 1. If you set this to 1 each time that the particle spawns, the textures of the noises will be rotated, so you'll be getting even more randomness into your effects. The erosion will erode the flames like that, and the erosion smoothness will make it so the edges are more or less pronounced with contrast, like such. And so in all the noises, you've got these selectors, so you can select a noise from a specific channel in the image. You can also control the scale and the speed of the noises, so that's how fast those will be breaking down the flames. So for the mask texture, you can create your own masks right there. And as you can see, for example, this one is going to be more like hard edged right there at the bottom, but you can create this texture to be whatever you want, so it can adapt to any sort of shape on your environment. If you set the star color to 0 and then you switch the lookup table right here with one of the other lookup tables that we've just created for this pack, you'll be able to create different colorings and set of color palettes for your fire, which is pretty dope. You can also offset the lookup table so the colors change like this. If you set this to the rainbow, for example, you can also use the speed like that, so the flames will be moving in color, so it looks like a rainbowy star from Mario, for example. The amplitude will make it so how's the range gonna affect the colors right there. And so yeah, this is the effect, the different effects that you can get by cranking up or reducing the range. You'll be creating really different results. The erosion will make it so the lookup table will be affected by the erosion, more or less, and the smoothness is gonna be controlling how hard is the edge of that erosion. As for the hue shift, that's gonna just change the color using the hue value. So it's like using a filter in Photoshop pretty quick. You can get different results right there. And as for the desaturate, that's just gonna desaturate the lookup table. So you're gonna get a black or white type of flame. Depth fade controls wherever that particle will be colliding with a solid object, how far will it blend. So you'll see that this one is not blending at all. You can see the hard edge right there. But if I crank this up just a little bit, it's just gonna be like seamlessly integrating into the flame like that. So if I set this to 1 and set this back to like a fiery type of flame like that, yeah, you can see the difference that that's creating. The Fresnel option right there makes it so whenever you're taking a look at it from the topmost part, it's gonna blend into transparency, and that's just because you don't really want the users to be able to see the seams right there that looks like cardboard, but that's something that's done in a lot of Nintendo games specifically. You can take a look at that by yourself. But yeah, when you take a look at those at the topmost view possible, you're gonna be blending those into oblivion and just making them transparent. As far as the camera offset goes, this will displace the particle, so it's either more closer towards the camera or into the background. So you can see that now this has been just shot into the background right there, and I can make this just go further into the camera, so like that you're getting this other type of effect. So maybe that's ideal for your use case. And as for the camera depth fade, that will make it so if you go close to the flame, there's a point in which you will be fading it out instead of you being able to just clip through the flames. So you can see right there, that's the edge of the particle. We are going through the particle with the camera, and so we don't want that hard edge to happen. That's why you want to use the camera depth fade length. So 0.3 should be enough. So when you come close into the flame, you're going to be fading it out and you won't get that ugly artifact happening. As far as the distortion goes, that's pretty self-explanatory, but you can set this to be 0.1, for example. So you're just getting a tad bit of distortion. You can crank that up even more, crank that up even more. So just completely up to you. You can go pretty crazy with it. And you can see the distortion vertical is -1. That's just because if you set this to be 1, it's going to be weird. It's going to be going to the other side. Like downward instead of upwards. So not ideal in this specific use case, but might be okay on your end if you're trying to do like a different type of effect right there. But yeah, just know that that's what it's doing in the distortion right there. As for the horizontal or vertical, you can see that right now this is being distorted horizontally, and yeah, that's it. As far as the mask erosion goes, that's just gonna erode the mask that's right there. So yeah, you can get more or less distortion based on that. And as for the smoothness, that's just gonna be the fall off for that mask right there. So you can see that, yeah, with this set to 0, it's kind of strange. It's only distorting that bit. So yeah, I suggest setting that to be like 1, and then the mask erosion to 0 should be okay. As far as the tertiary noises distortion intensity, that's just some other noises that are on top of everything that you can also use to bring a bit more randomness and chaos into the mix. If you wanna, you can also activate the GPU instancing right there, which will make it easier for you to, for your computer to render the particles and whatnot. But yeah, that's mostly about it, right? Yeah, I think I'm not missing anything unexplained right here. So if you have any questions on how to tweak it or use it, or any sort of problems with documentation or controls or whatever, feel free to reach out to info@vfx.com or on our Discord server, and I'll be more than glad to solve those. So yeah, really enjoyed the asset. That's mostly about it. See you in the next one. Bye.